Welcome to the stream. Yeah, so this is going to be like very short stream and series of short stream daily regarding the Rust programming language. We will be following this book, the official book, to learn the Rust programming language. So yeah, without wasting any time, let's just get started. This is the Rust programming language. This book assumes that we are using Rust 1.52 or later with edition 2018 in cargo.toml. We will see about it in later after installation. These are basically just changes which have been what things have been changed from previous edition to this edition, so they are reflecting here. And there is a note that if you have written any code like in previous editions, you can still compile it. Just don't include this flag in the cargo.toml and you will still be able to compile. That's Rust backward compatibility guarantees. So HTML format is there, and once we install Rust up, we can use it offline also. So let's move on to forward. If it wasn't clear, then Rust is fundamentally just about empowerment. So like no matter what kind of code you are writing, it empowers you to reach further without worrying much about security, because its compiler does that for you. Like previously the system level programming was like for those people who have spent decades learning it and optimizing it, sorry, and optimizing their code and like practicing with caution. Like there are many pitfalls, memory corruption, crashes, all that, but Rust just eliminate that barrier by the compiler. It just makes it so easy to learn about that stuff. You can just start writing your own OS, which will be reliable code and very efficient. And it can also it's not just for memory low level system programming. It can be used like anywhere. CLI apps, like for example, you can take a look at Rust scan, web servers, many other kind of code. Like it is very fast to write and it runs very fast because it doesn't use any garbage collection. It checks before compiling the executable. That's why it's very memory safe and efficient. So that was the forward, and this is the introduction part. Let's just see if someone is there. Yeah, okay. So who is Rust for? So let's welcome to the book. Rust programming language helps you write faster and more reliable software with memory safety, and you can also control the low level with it. So who is it for? For team of developers. How it can benefit team of developers? Well, cargo dependency manager is very useful. We will see about it later. There is Rust FMT, so Rust format, which can format your code like in proper way, so every code looks in proper standards. And there are many things, like if some code is bad, then compiler plays the gatekeeper role to not compiling the executable in first place. So you save a lot of time like if you don't know what kind of bugs there will be, and you compile some program and then keep executing it until you test and find bugs, you can avoid all that in Rust. For student who just like to explore system development or want to build reliable software, many big companies use it, and you can find who use it, how they use it. They are giving examples here also if you want to read. Open source developer, yeah. And one thing is that you can also contribute to Rust language itself, because the language itself is also open source, and if you want, you can be a Rust developer also. Like, and people who value speed and stability. Rust provides memory safety without compromising speed. So speed is very fast of Rust binaries, and they are very stable. So who is this for? Like, we are following book, but who is this for? No, they assume that you should have like somewhat programming experience. It can be in any language, but it's not like a basic programming book which will give you introduction about programming, what is a variable and all that. It's more focused on learning about Rust. So if you have any experience in programming, then it's good. If not, then try to learn some concept about programming. Basic would be fine. And this is like how to use this book. You can use like anything. They are explaining which chapter is what, but for us, we are just going to like from beginning to end without skipping anything. Now they are telling, if you want to take a look at it, sure, go, link is in the description. You can check out the Rust book. They're saying there is no wrong way. You can just go to any chapter, come back to any chapter if you feel doubtful about some concept and all that. And we will be seeing this Ferris in our book. Ferris is just Rust mascot. If Ferris is like with question mark, the code is not going to compile. If it's panic, then code panics. It's obvious. If it is like that, then code contains unsafe code. We will see about what unsafe is and all that later while following the book. And if he is showing like what you have done here, then the code is not going to produce the desired behavior. So, and in most of situation, book will provide us what's the correct version of that code, so we don't have to worry. Let's get started with our Rust journey. There is a lot to learn, but what we do when we learn new programming language, we write hello world. So that's what we are going to do. We will install Rust and then write hello world and then get familiar with cargo. Now we will see how much we can do in this stream. Let me just first check. Yeah, I hope everything is fine. Let's get started with Rust up. We will download to Rust up, but if you want for some weird reasons, you can just install the Rust compiler or only things you want, but we are just going to follow the documentations and install using Rust up, just to save us time and make it. And this is like the command line notion mentioned in this book. If it's starting with dollar, then it's like command for terminal, and if it's starting with this sign, then it's for PowerShell. So I'm going to use WSL2 here. So basically it's same as Linux but virtualized here. Okay, so I don't promote like copying any command and running it, but I have taken. Okay, so let's just copy this much part only. If you want, you can just first take a. What's happening? You can first just take copy. Okay, I didn't copy it, sorry. I should get it. Yeah. Okay, if you want, you can just first like take a look at what it's going to execute and then execute it, but for now let's just execute it. Until then, let's read the further part while it's installing. Okay, customize installer. No, proceed with this default installation. Fine. This command will download and install the Rust-up tool, which installed the latest stable version of Rust. So it will install Rust-up, and Rust-up will install Rust compiler and all that for us. And yeah, this line should appear once it's installed. And they're telling that linker is required. If you don't have linker, you can just install any C compiler and that should install a linker with it. So, and yeah, some code might depend on the C code and need a C compiler, so better have C. Okay, great. Now we can see this line, Rust is now installed. Great. To configure your current shell, run source. Okay, and let me clear the terminal. Installing, if you want to install on Windows, you can sure follow these steps and install on Windows. If you just want to update it, you can just simply do like we installed right now, so I don't think there will be any update, but let's just try it. Yep, so we are updated. If you want to uninstall, you can run this command. Well, we don't want to uninstall, like we just installed it right now. Let's see if it's installed. How can I Rust C version? Yeah, you can see we have version 1.54. Okay, so we have Rust installed. Let's move on to the next point. Hello world. This is the now we are going into fun part. You can use any IDE basically, and it assumes that you are familiar with command line, so you can run basic commands to compile code, Rust compiler and all that. So let's go. Yes, I'm installing in Ubuntu WSL2. I just like to, VM takes a lot of memory. WSL2 is fine. So let's create a project directory, and in that we will create hello world. So let's go. I don't know what's happening here. Let's just oxidizing. Okay, I can't type. I will be uploading this code on GitHub. So let's make another directory called hello world. We gotta make it fast. Okay, if you're on Windows command CMD, then you could use this syntax. Now open a file called main.rs and write this code in it. By the way, if you want, you can run like code right here by pressing play button, or you can go to Rust Playground. If you are on Android and you just want to try it, don't stop learning because you don't have PC. So let's go. Function main, and then print line hello world. And then semicolon. I highly suggest you to try out on your own. Yes, you can see here our main binary is here. Let's try executing it. Yeah, now we are officially a Rust programmer. Congratulations, you have officially written a Rust program that makes you Rustacean or Rust programmer, whatever we call. So let's look at what happened actually here. So first we have main. Like, let me open the code again. Oh shit, not this one. Main.rs, not the binary. Okay, first we have main function here, which the first thing going to execute is main. So in every executable, first thing going to execute it, which is main function. And then we have this like brackets parenthesis for parameters. For our case, it doesn't take any parameters and doesn't return anything either. and then they are telling you can use rust fmt to format. So let's just first try it. if i if I have to, like, so if my code was like this, there is no proper format. So you can just try to rust format main.rs, and now if we get it, see, it added it in proper format, like four spaces indentation. So it can format your code, so every code will look like a standard. Okay, and here is important thing that rust use 4 spaces, not tab. So before print line there is 4 spaces, not a tab. And second, print line, this is a macro, not a function. You can tell it is a macro by this exclamation mark at the end. If you want to call the function, you can call it without the exclamation mark. We will see about macros later. For now we are just passing the hello world string to this macro, and then ending it with semicolon to tell it like this expression is over. Now you can execute the rest code, and the most line will contain the semicolon. And if you are not from, like, if you don't have C or C++ background, like in C or C++ or any compiled language, you will first compile with GCC and then execute it. These are different steps. Same is with Rust. We have to compile the code and then execute it. Then it will generate an executable in which we can execute. And so you should be familiar with it if you are from C or C++ background. And if you are from like dynamic languages like Python, JS, then you might not be familiar with like compiling and running is separate things. So just keep in mind, we have to first compile our program, which will generate an executable which we can execute later on. Like in our case, it generated the main. So let's move. Just compiling. Yeah, we can use Rust C to compile like small programs, but if our program is very big, like we have a lot of files and dependencies, it can get like not so good. So we will use cargo tool. Let's see what cargo is. Hello cargo. First let's see. Okay, so cargo is a Rust build system and package manager. Most Rustaceans use this tool to manage their Rust project, because cargo can do a lot of stuff like building your code, downloading libraries, and building those libraries. And we call these libraries as dependencies here for now. So we can just do here. Let's check if cargo is installed. Okay, is it fine now? Okay, I don't know why OBS just keep disconnecting. Anyway, if our program gets very big with a lot of dependencies, then cargo makes it very much easier to manage. So yeah, let's create our project with cargo. Let's first move back, and here we can just type cargo. Let me clear terminal first. Cargo new, and then project name, which is hello cargo. You can see here our project is here, hello cargo. There is cargo.toml and src for source. Now if you just check it, it generated like git files also, so it make it as git directory. You can use any version, what we can say, VCS for it, if you want to like use anything except git, or no VCS at all. So that's up to you what you want to use, and it will take like your name. And let's just take a look at cargo.toml, what is in it. You can see here it takes a name. Let me clear terminal. Okay, here is our name of package, version, edition, and it doesn't take here authors because it has to take from git config and all that. We didn't specify any VCS, maybe because of that. Okay, so that's our toml file. If you want to any dependencies, we can just add below this dependencies line and we can just straight away use them. Package is heading is the first is the configuration of package, which Rust edition you are using, and this is version of our package and the name, and dependencies contain the dependencies. We will learn about Indian. You can read about editions in appendix E. These are the dependencies we will deal with them in chapter 2. For now, let's take a look at what's in source. There is main.src file. Let's take a look at that, and it's hello world. Cargo generates hello world program for you when you run the cargo new command, and it puts the source file in src directory, and the top level directory, like in our case here hello cargo, is for the readme and other git configuration, cargo.toml, like all configuration file are in that place, and our source code, or we can say like rust code, is in src directory. So it's like very easier to manage if our project is big. You won't be keeping like file anywhere. And let's try to build it. Now we can run cargo build. As you can see, it build our main.rs file, and let's run it. It's in target debug and then hello cargo. I don't know if this Windows terminal keep messing up, but anyway, here we have our hello world, just like expected. We can build any project with cargo build and run with this, but instead of doing like two commands, we can just say cargo run, and it will build and run our program. And this time it didn't say that it is compiling our program, because it is already compiled and we didn't change anything in our script. If you like to change anything, so let me change this. I can't okay, and now if I run cargo run, you can see it says compiling. First it says compile it, finish it, and then run it. You can see our expected output here, and that's how cargo works. And for some reasons, if you don't want to compile the binary, if you just did some small changes and you want to just check if our code compiles, then you can run cargo check. Yeah, it compiles. So why cargo check? Because building cargo run means the cargo build or cargo run make a executable, which can take time. Instead, cargo check is very much faster. It just checks and skip the step of making executable. So it's just faster if you just want to check if our program is correct, and it compiles. You can read all that in detail here in the Rust book. It is very nice written. And yeah, there is another thing called release. When we develop, like here cargo run, it develop for unoptimized version, like for testing debug version. But when we build with dash release tag, it just optimize our program. Like if we say cargo build release, it released our binary which is very optimized. it applies some optimization and all that. And why cargo is useful? If you just take any already existing project from GitHub or anything, you can just run cargo build and it will build project for you without you have to worry about dependencies, this is there or not, and all that. It just make it so much easier. And this is summary. You have already got great start in the Rust journey. In this chapter we learned how to use the Rust hub for updating, uninstalling, installing Rust. We can update to newer version. We can open Rust doc like in offline mode, and we wrote a hello world program and compiled it using Rust compiler, and also used our cargo to do this. And in next chapter we will be making our guessing game program. So yeah, and you can you can run Rust up and doc command, which will open the documentation for you. I don't know how it's going to open from WSL, like in which browser, but yeah, if you run from your main OS, it will open the documentation within your browser. It's still opening. That's it for this stream. You can just try it on your own. And in the next stream, which means tomorrow, we will be programming a guessing game. So stay tuned for that. For now, see you.